Now I know what you're thinking. Patrick, haven't you already made this video? Well, that video was about oceans. This one is about the ocean's younger siblings, the seas. So I guess first I should explain again what the difference is between the ocean and the sea. Seas tend to be the part of the ocean that meets the land, and seas are usually surrounded by land. While there are 5 main oceans, there are way more seas. So let's look at a selection of seas and let's see how these seas got their names. So one of the common ways that seas get their names is that they're named after the countries they are near to. This includes the Greenland Sea, the Irish Sea, the Sea of Japan, the East China Sea and South China Sea, the Philippine Sea, the Norwegian Sea, just to name a few. The names of these countries, however, I shan't go into, as I've either explained them in a previous video or they will be explained in a future video. Patrick the clickbait living up to his name again, folks. Other seas, however, are named after geographical locations but not exactly countries. One of these is the Baltic Sea. This is a sea enclosed by Sweden, Finland, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, Russia and even a little bit of Germany. There seems to be a few ideas as to where the name actually comes from. One theory is that it comes from the Scandinavian word bullter, meaning belt/strait, due to the narrowness of the sea and how the sea acts as something of a belt for that region of the world. What's interesting, however, is that in all other Germanic languages, minus English, the sea is named the East Sea because it's in the east of Germany. This is seen with the Dutch Ostsee, the Afrikaans Ostsee, and the German Ostsee. South of the Baltic, however, we have the Mediterranean Sea. This sea is pretty much landlocked, separating southern Europe from northern Africa. The name is interesting. Despite the noun Mediterranean being most associated with the sea, the name itself comes from the Latin adjective mediterraneus, meaning land and far from the coast. The Latin word is composed of the Latin medius, meaning middle, terra, meaning earth, and the suffix enios, with this word coming from the fact that the Mediterranean is based in the middle of the earth classically, which still fits as a name as the Mediterranean is still the sea in the middle of the world. Something close to the Mediterranean is the Dead Sea, which is actually a salt lake, not a sea, but it's a pretty cool name, so let's look at it anyway. The waters of the Dead Sea are around 8 or 9 times saltier than the waters of the ocean, so salty that it's incredibly easy to float on. This name comes from the fact that due to the saltiness of the waters, very little life is found in the lake. The sea, perhaps made most famous by a certain theme park ride and movie franchise, is of course the Caribbean Sea. The Caribbean Sea and the Mediterranean Sea both share the same N suffix from Latin, but where does the Carib part of the name come from? Well, the Carib people, also known as the Kalina people, are native to the northern coast of South America, where the Caribbean Sea is. The name for the people of the Carib is believed to come from the Spanish Colibi, which comes from the Arawakan word Kalingo, Colina or Kalino, which is said to mean brave ones or strong men in reference to the Carib people. My personal favourite way that seas can be named is after colours. There's just something so magical about the idea of a Red Sea, although the Red Sea isn't actually a ruby red sea I had in mind. So why is it named that? This name comes from its ancient Greek name Erytha thalassa, and the red in its name is thought to come from a type of algae. When this algae dies, it turns the water a shade of reddish brown. The Yellow Sea is located between China and the Korean Peninsula. The yellow in its name comes from the sand particles blown into the sea from storms from the Gobi Desert. The White Sea is the most northern of the coloured seas, located on the northwest coast of Russia. It's safe to say that northern Russia gets pretty chilly, with the White Sea being covered in ice for 6 to 7 months every year. It's believed that it's this ice or the northern sun shining on the water where the white comes from of its name. The Black Sea is one of the largest seas to not be connected by any ocean, surrounded by Turkey, Bulgaria, Romania, Moldova, Ukraine, Russia and Georgia. Originally, the Greeks called this sea the Inhospitable Sea due to its reputation of being so hard to navigate, yet as they got more developed and able to cross it, they called it a Hospitable Sea, so that's nice. But the name we are interested in is the name we know it as today, the Black Sea. The name isn't too clear for us. The name is thought to date to the Ottoman Empire period, with these names for the sea in Ottoman Turkish. It's also believed the name came from sailors who claimed that the sea got so dark in a storm that it almost went black, and it's believed that objects that sink into the sea get covered with a black sludge from the high concentration of hydrogen sulfide in the waters. Now, I said that the Black Sea was one of the biggest inland seas, but the title of the biggest inland sea and the biggest body of water not connected to the ocean belongs to the Caspian Sea. The Caspian Sea is a natural border for Iran, Azerbaijan, Russia, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan and Iran. The name of this sea comes from the people who lived by it, the Caspians. The origins of their name, however, seem to be a bit of a mystery. It's thought to come from the Latin Caspi, perhaps meaning white. The seas around the poles of our Earth seem to have the most common naming group, as so many of them are named after explorers. In Antarctica we have the Weddell Sea, named after James Weddell, the Ross Sea, named after James Ross. In the north by Alaska we have the Beaufort Sea, named after Sir Francis Beaufort, the Barents Sea in northern Russia, named after Willem Barents, and the Laptev Sea, named after cousins Dmitry and Kalatin Laptev, just to name a few. However, there are a couple seas around Antarctica that have more interesting names, one of these being the Cosmonaut Sea. This sea was named in 1962 by the Soviet Antarctic expedition in honour of Yuri Gagarin, the first man in space. Finally, I'd like to end on the Scotia Sea, a sea between Antarctica and the tip of South America. Of course, Scotia is Latin for Scotland, and while we have a Nova Scotia in Canada, this sea is nowhere near Scotland or Canada. The sea is actually named after the Scottish Antarctic expedition ship named the Scotia, so it's a sea named after a ship, which I think is pretty fun. Thank you as always to all my awesome patrons. We're still trying to hit $200 a month by the end of February. That would only take around 15 people to donate $2 a month, so why not be amazing, be one of the 15 and donate $2 a month to get your name with all these awesome people. Thank you.